Good afternoon, everybody. This is Kent Clothier Sr. with REI Nation on our Facebook Live Experience Matters live call this afternoon. Sorry we're a couple minutes late. We're experiencing a little bit of difficulties. Some of it may have been on our end and maybe some of it on Facebook end. We're still looking. But again, thank you for joining us this afternoon. I have a couple of great guests on here we're going to talk for a few minutes about. I'm going to let them jump in here in just a second and introduce ourselves. But again, I want to remind you again, thank you for joining us. Our group is continuing to grow. I think today we went over 900 members on our REI group here and continues to grow every week. And please hit the like button or the love button as we go through here. If you don't mind, it'll help send other traffic and other people to it. We continue to work on improving the content and the live videos and things such as this that we're doing. In the last couple of weeks, I had all my sons on here, and then we had some investors on the last few weeks. But today I have a couple people that are with our company that I want to introduce you to, and I'll bring it all the way back around to why experience matters. And maybe today this will be a good message for our existing investors that are on the call, maybe even some possible entrepreneurs on here, maybe some other experienced people that are on here, and give you a little bit of what we're doing and why this is so important to surround yourself with people who have experience. And when we started the business 17 years ago, all we knew how to do was really buy and sell houses. We weren't very good at any of the IT side of the business. We weren't very good at all at the accounting side, although that early on we had an outside accounting firm. And then as our business continued to grow for 5, 10, 15 years, we had some accounting people the last several years ago, and we've always had some outside accounting firms. And we had some people that are worked with us in the IT department that helped us kind of get started to a certain level, but never enough to get to the point that we needed to get to, like we're striving to do today. So let me introduce these two folks that we were able to hire. And as we go through the conversation this morning or this afternoon, I'll tell you a little bit about how we came about, how these folks became a very important and vital part of our team. So the first is Jessica Stooksbury. She is our CFO. She came to us it's coming up about a year and a half, but our search actually started 2 years ago for this job, and I'll get into that in a few minutes as we talk about that. But we're going to hear from her in a few minutes. She's our CFO. She'll tell you a little bit about her background and bigger companies that she's worked for and what's it like to work for this family-owned company of ours. And then Jerry Statham, our CTO, is going to talk a little bit about our IT platforms and some of the stuff that he's doing for us. He's developing a lot of systems and platforms for us, and I'll let him get into talking about all of that today. And he's also assisting us on our sales side on developing programs through Salesforce. And so we'll talk a little bit about that. Some of this stuff may not be the sexy topics to talk about when you get into accounting and IT, but we have found over the years that it's vitally important that you have these folks somewhere in your organization. And over the years, we had really, really good people, but now we have stepped it up with a more seasoned person in both of these people that are helping us lead us into the next phase of our business as we continue to grow. So let me jump in here and again ask us the questions that you may have. I got a few that I'm going to ask them today, and maybe our listeners on here may have some questions for either one of them. And they're both very, very knowledgeable in their area. And so let me go to Jessica, who came to us about a year and a half ago and stepped in and has basically redone everything that we do in the way of accounting in all of our companies. So Jessica, I'm gonna let you jump in here and talk to us for a couple of minutes about your background and kind of where we're at and all the stuff that you've been doing for us. Maybe a little bit of an outline of that, please, ma'am. Welcome. Sure. Welcome, Jessica.
Thank you, Kent. Good afternoon, everybody. As Kent said, my name is Jessica Stooksbury. I have over 25 years experience in accounting, financial planning and analysis, strategic planning, and things like that. Originally, when I came out of school, I was in public accounting. And then after about 5 years in public accounting, I went into industry. I've worked in various industries such as human resource outsourcing. Spent the longest amount of my career at Service Master for 15 years, where I worked in each of the different business units from True Green, to True Green Land Care, Terminex, and AHS during my stay at at Service Master. Then I worked at Pfizer for a couple of years, and then I began talking to the clothiers here at Memphis Invest. I thought it was a wonderful opportunity. It's a fascinating business. The turnkey investment world is so unique and so different and so fast paced. Coming from a corporate background, I was used to a lot of very strict processes and procedures. However, with that comes a lot of red tape and a lot of very slow processes and getting actually things done and implemented. Probably the biggest thing that has impacted me since I've come over here at Memphis Invest is how quickly things move, but how quickly we are able to react and adjust and proactively address items that we see on the horizon. Ideas are floated, actions are taken, investors' concerns are addressed. Nothing has to go through a very long, drawn out process of red tape. And I think that is one of the things that most appealed to me in the business model. It's different, it's intense, it's a very fast paced environment, but I like that we're daily having an impact on a large group of people, whether it be investors, whether it be residents, whether it be our vendors, or whether it be our associates. Every day we are directly impacting someone's lives. Since I've come in, we've made several adjustments. We keep up at a minimum 3 sets of financial records for the primary 3 entities. There are a couple of smaller satellite companies that we also keep the books for, but primarily the property management companies and the turnkey part of the business that buys the houses, rehabs the houses, and sells them. So we're keeping those different sets of books on different types of software. And I know Jerry's going to speak more about the software as we go forward and all of the adjustments we're making to it. But we've been able, since I've come on board, to kind of standardize more of how we handle things. Trying to streamline as much as possible, eliminate as much red tape, paperwork, things like that we can. Eliminate the work that doesn't really provide value to others in the organization or our customers outside of the organization. We've also taken a lot of steps to make the financial results of the company more predictable, more standardized. One of the roles that I do and have taken on is I deal significantly with our banks, our financial institutions, and all of our outside accountants. And those are very closely tied together as, our financial institutions want to see our operating results. And the more consistent we can make those, the better we are. So we've taken great strides in having our financial reports. Each of our entities is reviewed on an annual basis, and some of them are even have compilations done by outside accounting firms to ensure that all of our reporting is looked at independently of what we do internally. So we've done that and coordinated a lot of our efforts more strongly amongst the different groups that we do business with on a daily basis.
Wow, that's a lot. I knew we had a lot.
On my toes.
I knew we had a lot for you to do. So let's hear from Jerry Statham. I'll let him tell you a little bit about our background and how far back we go, and him and our family. And then obviously as we have over 6,000 properties that we manage, and we buy 800 to 900 a year, and we sell 800 to 900. We buy 800 to 900, sell 800 to 900. A lot of renovations, a lot of moving parts, and it takes great systems to be able to manage this. One of the things that I always get asked when people hear that we do say, how in the world do y'all do that? How does that happen? How can any company even think about, imagine doing that? But then my answer is it always comes back to systems. And if we didn't have the right systems and the right people and constantly trying to improve this department here, and it's been an ongoing process for the better part of 8 or 9 years. Jerry's been here maybe 2 or 3, and it continues to be the backbone of what we do. So Jerry, take it and run with it for a second.
Okay, thanks, Kent. Excited to be here. Welcome everyone to the Facebook Live broadcast. I think I'm the only person, I know I'm the only person that goes back to 2nd grade meeting the Clothiers. So the eldest son, Kent Jr., and I met in 2nd grade. So I grew up with Kent Sr., with Chris, and Brett was just being born when I was around. So I've certainly known you guys for the longest. I think anyone that works here. And then I became a customer about 10 years ago, way prior to joining the company. So I'm not only an employee, kind of been with the family for a long time, probably been on 30 to 40 family vacations with Kent Jr. and his family. So know the Clothiers intimately, and also have experienced the business side. When I came out of college, I worked with IBM and in the IBM technology space, and then moved on. Last 12 years with Oracle, another big tech firm. And then Junior asked me to come over and work with him. So I was president of Real Estate Worldwide for the last 4 years. Yeah, but I have my own portfolio personally of residential investments. And so, real diversified background, but excited to join in with Memphis Invest then, and now REI Nation now. I've been here on and off for about 3 years. I think, Kent's when I started.
Yep.
So running some of the technology, I can get into any of that as you want me to elaborate.
Well, just talk a little bit about the basic platforms that we run to do the everyday business in here without getting, we'll talk a little bit about Propertyware and Salesforce, and go ahead.
Yeah, so we have a tech stack is what they call it in the industry, probably 12 to 15 core technologies. You would not think with, a smaller family owned business that's what it takes. But when you walked in the door, at least when I walked in the door, the first thing I saw was do the right thing. What's that? Well, that's how we operate here. We always do the right thing. Well, my leg of that, I didn't really understand what that meant, but my technology has to allow every employee to do the right thing. What is the right thing? Well, the right thing to a resident may be immediately responding to a maintenance call. An owner may want to approve a maintenance spend. An owner may want to have a question about any kind of deposit. And a vendor may have a question about which house to go to or where an invoice may be. And so an employee may want to request time off. It doesn't matter. Whatever it is, our technology stack has to turn around the quickest, most accurate answer we can to facilitate us doing the right thing, period.
Jerry, talk a little bit about Propertyware for a second in our property management, and then how we're trying to integrate some of what we're doing in Salesforce, and how big of a platform that is that we run every single day to manage all of these properties and do what we do.
Yeah, our current endeavor is to tie our systems together. So our property management system is Propertyware, and that flows all the way through our resident experience and onto our owners. Salesforce facilitates all of our rehabilitation and all of our maintenance. So one thing that's very, very important as we move through this is to make sure that the systems are connected end to end. It's a very intense tech platform to get that done, but it's really about the experience to make sure that we're moving as fast as we can. Information is being delivered, whether that's through a mobile device to a resident or an owner. We're texting, the ability to text the resident to say, hey, did you get your maintenance request handled? Email, any type of platform, anywhere. And it's tying those systems together so that a resident can make a payment, it can show up on their ledger, and all of that stuff seamlessly flows through from end to end. So it's been an ongoing project for about 18 months, and it'll continue for another 6 to 12 months. And from there, I'm sure another technology will come into play.
Well, we're always trying to develop new strategies we're working on some things for our investors, our owners right now that hopefully we roll out later this year. We're working on some improvements for them. We're working on some improvements for our residents so that we can communicate and react quicker to situations that they have. So those are two really, really important things. We've just integrated our vendors into this year. You want to talk just for a second about the hundreds and hundreds of vendors that we now have that we're integrating into our systems? A little bit about that just for a second.
Sure. So, one of the tenets that we have with our vendors is, to be their number one general contractor, if you will. Part of that has to do with paying our vendors. So we have technology that allows us to receive an invoice to validate that the work has been done in the field by our project managers and to pay that vendor within the same week. We've been doing that week after week after week, year after year after year. And so part of it is obviously facilitating the payment to our vendors. The other side is for the vendors to receive work, to be able to receive training, safety training, COVID-19 rules, whatever they may be, from a single interface. And so we have what we call a vendor portal that allows our vendors to come in from any device that they have and to interact with us at whatever time of day or night they need to make sure that we have what we need from them and they're giving us what we need from them. So it's a state-of-the-art platform, something that, a lot of the Fortune 500 companies have, and we've been fortunate enough to have the investment and the will to bring it into our business. And I think it's very important.
Very good. Before I go back to Jessica, I want to remind the people as we move through the live call here that please hit the like button or the love button, or hopefully you refer people to join our group as we continue to grow and we bring you good content. Today, I have Jessica Stooksbury, for people that are just jumping on the call, our CFO, and Jerry Statham, our CTO, on here, and we're talking about some of the systems that we run and some of the procedures that we do. So, Jessica, in our accounting department, I know that we have outside people that we use. What programs are we running in there today? I know Bill.com. Is there anything else that you're using in there today?
So currently we have some very different systems depending on which of the business units you're speaking to. We have 8 finance associates across property management and REI, which do a fantastic job of doing everything that needs to be done for this significant operation. The property management business runs Propertyware, which we talked about a few minutes ago. And then we also utilize the systems of QuickBooks and Bill.com significantly to process the operations for the turnkey part of the business.
Thank you, ma'am. All right, so now a couple of hard questions for y'all. No, these will be easy. So you two both, and my background was a little corporate, but it's been since 1983 that I was in the corporate field. And when I walked away from that and started as an entrepreneur, and with no real education at all, no education other than high school, no college, although Kent and Chris both have some college, and Brett graduated from college. So I have very little education. So it was very important to me as I moved through being an entrepreneur that I had to get people around me that were smarter than me. Now I could go out and start a business, build a business, put in the hours, put in the time, have some successes, some successes are good, some successes are bad. In the end, as you grow a business, and to any of you new entrepreneurs on here, you got to get people around you that are smarter than you, that can handle accounting and can handle insurance and can handle all the computer and the data part of the business, which all I wanted to do was buy and sell houses. And then the business just took off and it grew, and we were doing 300 a year, 600 a year, 800 a year. And before I knew it, 18 years ago, we had to have systems and we had to have accountability. And then as we further integrated into doing business with some banks about 4 or 5 years ago, we had we had to clean up some stuff that we're doing, and Jessica's done a great job of that, and Jerry's done a great job of getting us positioned to move forward to even do more properties as we move towards 10,000 properties, which is out there for us in the next 3 or 4 years. But a question for both of you guys, coming out of the corporate world, what is it like coming to work for a small business, family-owned company like ours, and walking in and seeing some of the crazy stuff that we do? And Jessica, I heard what you said about, it's not hard to make a decision in here. You need an answer on something. Chris and I and Brett may need a few hours or half a day or whatever, but getting an answer, and whether it's good or bad, happens pretty quick, and sometimes maybe too quick. But so what's it been like? And let me go to Jerry first. What's it like working for us, coming out of the last big company you worked for, Jerry, was who?
Oracle.
That pretty good sized little operation there.
Yeah.
And to come into work for this little 100 employee family owned business here of entrepreneurs. What's that like?
Well, it's certainly different, but I have an unfair advantage. Senior, the first time I worked for you, I believe, was vacuuming your garage out for Dr. Pepper. That's how maniacal you were when I first met you, that you wanted your kids to vacuum out your garage to keep everything clean and perfect. So I suspected
that might have been unfair labor back there when you were like 12 or something, right?
That's right. It probably was breaking all kinds of labor laws, or at least setting the need for those.
However, some things have definitely
in,
not changed. Some things have definitely not changed.
Right. Like, I am in the cleanest conference room I would ever saw at Oracle, for sure. There is no doubt. So some of the stuff I knew I was coming into, but there's corporate pressure in big companies, and they don't always make the right decision by their constituencies. And I've experienced it. I've seen it done not only with some of the companies that I have worked for, but some of the businesses they've worked for or worked with. And so I think one of the big differences here is we don't have day-to-day pressure. We don't have week-to-week pressure. We don't have month-to-month or year-to-year pressure. And I know Jessica can speak to this, of making any decision that's not in the favor of our customers, our owners, our residents, our employees. I mean, at bottom line, that's a big difference. It really is. And it's a refreshing difference. And it's one of the biggest things that I have taken away since I've been here, as well as just with how fast we make decisions. They're good decisions, they're the right decisions, but then how fast we get those from decision to implementation is very, very quick. So Jessica, I'll let you.
So Jerry, I want to stay on you. So when you came in, as you came into a family-owned business, what was the biggest surprise? What was the biggest shocker, if there was one? What was the biggest thing you said, wow, I can't even imagine they're even trying to do this kind of stuff this way? Or did you come in here and say, what a mess?
No. I would say that, I'm trying to say this the right way. Well, I would just tell you that the biggest surprise to me is that Kent Sr. makes every decision.
And we know that's not true, Jessica, right? Because you're already making a lot of decisions, all right? No, that's not true. We know that's not true. So you came in, and when you came in and you saw this craziness of working in this entrepreneur, family-owned company that goes all the time, and so there wasn't anything. And I kind of pushing for a little bit because I think you probably, because I know how.
No.
One second. I know how detailed you are. You probably thought, how in the heck did they make it to 14, 15, 17 years under this?
Well, I did maybe think of that. How did they make it this long? But, one of the other things that was surprising to me is every day in our operational meetings, the executives get together, managers get together, manager's gone, somebody's sitting in for that manager, and we read every, survey we have from our residents and our owners every day as executives, and take action on them, to the point of all of us who have responsibilities in those areas already have taken the action that need to be taken. Most, if not all, of their surveys are great. Very, very rare do we have, a point off here or there. And so just the accountability to execute to that level of, service levels, and ask your customers, have your customers or your residents tell you things, and then to follow up and have direct action. That was a big surprise for any company. I mean, I've been some of the biggest companies, and they don't do that. They don't have that discipline. And
Well,
that was a big surprise.
Yes, and 2 hours ago in our 1 o'clock meeting here today, you heard that we had a resident that had the AC out, and we got it fixed immediately. And it took about, I think the call was late that afternoon, and got it the next morning. And again, you heard my question in there hours ago. Why? How come we didn't get it fixed within 2 hours? In other words, if they called in by 4 o'clock, I would expect us to have that resident's AC fixed within 2 hours. If they have a plumbing issue, my expectations for our residents is to have it fixed within 2 hours. Now, I'm pretty sure most other companies, property management companies, don't have that kind of outlook on that, or don't try to do that. But it's a reason why we retain our residents for an average of 5 years, is because they are so valuable to us, and their satisfaction. And then it comes back to the surveys that we get written. That the attention, I got a sign right up here behind my desk here. It says, learn the necessity of details. And to me, when we drill down, and maybe other CEOs and founders and owners and family-owned business don't read every survey that comes in from every person, but we do. And we take every one of them, good, bad, or ugly. We're talking about them on. The point is that we do 97% of the things right, and it's a 3% or 2% or 1%, whatever it is, that we want to figure out how to do it better. We want to do it better. Can we cut a maintenance call for a resident from 4 hours to 2 hours? And that's what on that 1 o'clock call today, Ryan Flannery in Dallas had already taken care of it, had already called the resident, had gotten it taken care of. But the mission here is always, how quick can we do things to take care of the 4 groups of people that I always talk about: our employees, our vendors, our clients, and our residents. Jessica, let me go to you. Coming in from True Green and Service Master and Pfizer, those are some big boys out there in the corporate world, and then come into this little family-owned company doing about $150 million a year. What do you think? What was it like?
I would echo primarily, I guess, what Jerry said. I value very much the fact that our number one core value is do the right thing, and that's not a sign on the wall. That's not do the right thing at the right cost for the right amount of profit. But that is do the right thing. Each of the clothiers live that every day. Each of the associates is expected to live that every day. And yes, we're here to make a profit. Yes, we're here to do things as efficiently as possible. But you do focus every day on those 4 groups of people, including the associates, the vendors, the investors, and our residents. And I think one good show of that has been very clearly displayed to me over the last couple of months is that we have been able to do better than I think we would have anticipated on our rent collections. That to me speaks to how well we really go out of our way to treat our residents, to make sure their air conditioners are fixed within a couple of hours, to make sure that our properties are in A+ condition when a resident moves into it. That has been so apparently clear to me over the last couple of months, probably more than I ever would have appreciated it or recognized it prior to that.
Well, thank you. I want to talk just for a second about Jessica, because it was a whole new experience. About 2 years ago, maybe about August 2 years ago, when we made the commitment to hire a CFO. At that point, we had a gentleman that was working for us that was doing some of this stuff, but he was not a CFO. He's a former banker, which he did a great job. But at that point, as our business was growing even more, we decided, Chris and I and Brett, that we needed to hire a CFO. So we hired an outside firm to start bringing us candidates. And so the firm brought us 10 candidates, I believe. And in October of 2018, Chris and I and Brett, we would go just about every day to the local Starbucks right there by our office. And we'd sit down and interview a different person every day for about 7 or 8 days. We'd go 2 different times because we didn't want to do it at our office. We wanted to go and sit down with the person in an outside setting and do the interview, which we're not professional interviewers, and Jessica will probably tell you that, okay? But we just wanted to go through a process of meeting these people. So there was a group of about 10 people, and all very qualified, all great backgrounds, some with big companies and employed as CFO in their companies, and wanting to come and interview with us and come to work for us. And every one of them, for the most part, except for a couple, had really done their homework. And we sat down with Jessica. She was about our 3rd or 4th interview, and she had all of her homework done, knew everything about the company, knew everything about the owners, came fully prepared, asked us probably more questions than we asked her. And then Chris and I and Brett got back in our car, and we immediately knew that she was the right person for us. We thought it was going to be a good fit. And so we went ahead and did the rest of the interviews. We did all 10 of them. We were only about on 4th, and it's still, everything came back to Jessica. And she has fit in great with us. There was always a concern about people of these 2 people's level here and expertise and education, and certainly experience, that maybe it won't work in this family business because it is completely different. It is not like a corporate run office at all. I was in a corporate office from 1978 to 1983, and I wanted to get as far away from that as I could if I could ever get away from it, because I didn't want to do things like that. I wanted to make our own decisions. I didn't want to work for anybody. But as we got bigger and bigger, I knew that we were going to have more experienced people. And these folks have done a really, really good job for us. And we're lucky to have both of them. Let me jump in here and see if we got any other questions. Jessica, so we're using bill.com. And one of the things I noticed this week that, we're doing about 2,000 invoices, 1,600 to 2,000 invoices a month, just in the renovation side. That doesn't include the property management side of the business. So can the platforms that we have in there now with the help of Jerry, can that handle that? And or bill.com, or is there anything else in there that we're using other than that?
Today we're using bill.com primarily tied with QuickBooks, but Jerry spoke earlier about the continued development of the vendor portal, and the steps that he mentioned were kind of the phase 1 that we've completed thus far, about being able to capture all of our vendor information in a centralized location, including any type of legal requirements, tax reporting information. That's kind of our step 1, so that we have everybody categorized correctly. We know what our reporting requirements are. But as we continue to develop Salesforce and the different platforms, and Jerry, jump in if I screw anything up that I'm saying here, but our inevitable goal would be for the vendors to be able to go in and enter their invoices electronically and everything be paid electronically. Currently, we manually key each of those invoices into a system, and the property management does a similar task for all of its maintenance that it's billed by different vendors. So the inevitable goal is to be able to process those. And yes, our platforms will be able to help us out with those significantly.
Very good. So as you 2 came in from the outside, and you sit in our meetings every week and all of our executive meetings and family meetings that we have, and we've been very lucky because we have great people in all of our departments, and from our IT to our property management to our sales people to our buying people to our rehab people. It's a great team of people. But as you sit in here, what do you think? And like this morning, you heard that in our meeting that over 50% of the people that have bought houses from us so far this year are repeat customers that buy their 2nd through 5th or 6th or whatever. And what do you think is the secret weapon in here that we do that fuels our continued, knock on wood, being able to successfully do what we do? What do you think is, and I know I'm putting you on the spot. I didn't tell you about this question here, but this is kind of my secret question here. And I think Jerry's already figured it out. Jerry, what do you think it is? What do you think that kind of separates us from other people, or that we can continue to kind of distance ourselves? I know we always talk about that average people can't work here, that we're always looking for that exceptional person that buys into what we're talking about delivering that great experience to our investors and to our people and to our vendors and to our residents. And that's a little bit different than a lot of other people from time to time think about. But what would be our secret weapon? And I didn't mention the customer service ladies a few minutes ago, that are an important part of what we do, and the accounting ladies and all the people that work in the different departments. I know I always forget somebody, and I'm sorry, but Jerry, what do you think is maybe the secret weapon?
The secret weapon to me is our willingness to engage. I mean, you kind of you're saying that, hey, I'm going to run to a problem. I'm not running away. I'm running to it. And I think that approach is all of our executive team, down to our management, down to our associates. Everybody has been taught to run to the problem, engage. Our customer service ladies reach out to every owner every month to engage. Sometimes, and a lot of times, they're engaging with good news. Sometimes it's not so good news. But the fact of the matter is, we are engaging, right? And we are going to take care of the issue, or we're going to deliver the piece of good news. I think our resident leadership, same way on property management, we reach out to our residents to get them to renew. Let's engage and understand if they're going to renew with us, or if we got to put somebody else in there. And so we're constantly engaging. I mentioned the surveys already. So I've also mentioned, reaching out on the satisfaction of a maintenance call, reaching out to our vendors. So we're constantly, as a business, all the way around, engaged. And I think that's a lot of our success comes from that. We're learning from it. We're not always perfect, but you don't know if you're making a mistake unless you're engaged. You don't know if you're doing something well to continue to do well, or to make it even better, unless you're engaged. And so we're engaged. And I think that's great.
Very good. Good answer, Jerry. Jessica, what do you think?
I would agree with Jerry, and then kind of in line with that, I would say the company's attention to detail and proactive nature. When I say attention to detail, it comes from anything to, making sure that the rehabs are done and our home inspections are as strong as they can be. When we're buying the homes, the attention to detail, the attention to the budgets that we put together when we're looking at the houses. When we're selling the homes, all of the attention to detail that our setters and our closers put into making sure that our investors are aware of all of the details, that each one of their questions and issues is addressed in a timely manner. I could go on and on. Our closers, our buyers, our customer service agents, everyone in the financial realm who makes sure that everyone gets paid in a timely manner, that they're paid the correct amounts, that they're paid when they, need to be paid in the right accounts. The level of detail that the company focuses on and getting things right, I think, combined with Jerry's statement of our willingness to engage and adapt, are, I think, what makes us the best in what we do.
Thank you very much. So I'm going to wrap it up here. And again, I remind the people that are on the call, if you'll hit the like button or the love button, we'd love to hear your comments. If we don't get them on here, and I'm probably almost out of time here, but if you'll put your comments over there, we'll get them answered and get back to you on them. Jerry and Jessica, I thank you very much for being my guest on here today. Both of y'all did great, a lot of great content on here. I hope our listeners listen to it. It's really, really good, especially for our current investors, people that are considering coming with it, and even for a new business owner on here. There's some really good stuff in here for them to hear. And do y'all have any final thoughts or comments before we jump off of here?
Thanks for
having us.
Yeah.
You guys did great. We appreciate everything you guys do for our company. We're lucky to have you guys in these important roles that you guys handle for us, and take care of these things. So on behalf of the Clothier family and REI Nation today, thank you for being on here, and we look forward to our all our listeners being with us next time. Next Wednesday, we'll be back with another live interview, and have a great day. Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.